Waves was directed by Trey Edward Schultz. I hope I got that name right. He directed It Comes at Night. I'm sorry. I wouldn't have expected the director of It Comes at Night to direct this movie. And it's a drama, and a real life-altering experience happens during this drama about an African-American family growing up, and it's a husband, a stepmom, and their two kids. The two kids are the fathers, because the stepmom's there because the mother had passed on at some point, and oh boy, easily one of my favorite movies of the year. If this isn't on somebody's favorite movies of the year list, I would really like to talk to you because I'd like to know what you had an issue with. Pretty much perfect filmmaking, from the cinematography, the music. Trent Reznor had a hand in this music, and oh boy, you could tell within the first 5 minutes that he had a hand in this. Because there was a lot of, segments where the music was closer than you would expect. That's right, I said a 9 Inch Nails pun. So with this, you have a family, and the dad, by the way, and I'm looking at the cast here, so you'll forgive me, but the dad was Sterling K. Brown, who was absolutely incredible in this. He was great. Everybody honestly delivered picture-perfect performances. There was nothing at all, though I guess you could say some of this was cliche. Everything was handled so well that you couldn't even, you couldn't complain about anything that happened in this movie. And it is 2 hours and 15 minutes. It doesn't drag, which is scary because some movies that are like 90 minutes can drag. This one doesn't. Taylor Russell is a revelation as Emily. You have Kelvin Harrison Jr. rather. He's great. This family, this whole thing about this family is like this dad who's pushing his son. And the son, Tyler, pushing him, wanting him to do better. And there's a lot of stuff going on with the family. The son's pushing through a shoulder injury. He has ways of coping with this shoulder injury that lead to events that get triggered later on. He has a girlfriend, Alexis, who's played by Alexa Demi, and I'm sure that was very hard for her to remember that name. I kid. And, Tyler's got this relationship with his girlfriend. They're really, really, they're really in love and everything, but a certain event happens. I'm going to get into spoilers here in a little bit, but a certain event happens that alters and just shifts everything in this sudden family dynamic and everything that's really one of the best features of the movie. Kind of gets fractured a little bit. And then really gets fractured, because holy shit, this thing had, if you've seen Hereditary, it had a Hereditary-like just twist and just shock thing. Like about halfway through, you were like, well, I didn't expect that at all. And then from there, this family's trying to pick up the pieces and do everything they can to go on. There's also the racial, discrimination stuff in a few scenes, but not too many. One particular that takes place outside of a clinic. It's Florida, so of course. But there's one, again, you gotta just go in, really picturesque, the cinematography, whoever did the cinematography, and I'm not gonna look up the full cast, I'm just gonna say fucking great. That cinematography was amazing, the music cues were great, the way they did the scene transitions, the acting is, if the acting is not elite, this whole cast should be nominated for a Golden Globe, by the way, but the family in particular should be nominated. This was just one of those movies where you're just like, God damn, I can't believe how great this was. Now, I thought it'd be good. I didn't think it'd be this good. And it just was something that I absolutely loved. I can't find any flaws with this movie. Except maybe, and I've yet to see a perfect movie, but except there are some cliches with this, and it's a descent into tragedy and family strife and everything, and other stuff as to what happens when actions have, consequences, but you can see most of it coming. The problem is it's dealt with such a, way of being realistic that it wasn't so much that I just felt bad for the family, and it wasn't all this, it was just I was really depressed. Hooray! Hooray for depression. This was a great goddamn movie, though. It was how you deal with tragedy, how you overcome it, and can a family move on? Can a family move on from something like this? really good question. I mean, honestly, it was a really, really good movie. Really have no complaints about this. I'm going to get into spoilers now at about 6 minutes, but yes, please go see this movie. It is great. It started playing right near me, so if it's playing anywhere within even 20 to 30 miles that you drive out, it is absolutely worth it. So, spoilers here about 6 minutes in. 3, 2, 1, and go. So, you got the son that is on a wrestling team. His dad is pushing him. His dad, has a bad knee injury that took him away from being able to do what he was doing. And then got, he's pushing his son to do better. The mother had earlier died of an overdose. That's revealed later on. And the son's being pushed. Now, all this time, though, the daughter, obviously the guy's sister, is, she's not necessarily so much in the background. She gets to have her story told a little bit later on, but she's got a cat. The cat, absolutely great. I love cats, by the way. Big old floofy cat. But it has this weird thing of either spraying or almost humping doors, and it was kind of funny. It was a couple comedic spots in this. But with this movie, the son is dealing with a shoulder injury. Well, he's on the amateur wrestling team. He's trying to cope with this stuff. His dad has a knee injury and has Oxycontin, or Codian, or however the hell you say it. He has Oxy, and not OxyClean, and the son is using that to deal with his shoulder injury, which turns out to be
I don't know about getting high, but my shoulder is white.
No. Actually, it's funny. They put a birthmark. I don't know if it was an actual birthmark on the girl's face, or if it was just for makeup, but the sister had a birthmark on her face. They never really referred to that, so maybe it's just part of her. I don't know. But he had pretty much the most severe labrum tear you could possibly have. And he was going to need surgery. Well, he had been dealing with this. They just got into wrestling. He's like, well, mid-season, I can't do that. The doctor's like, anything else, you're working out, this kind of stuff, you could tear it violently. Well, guess what happens in the next fucking match? He tears it violently. All this time, he's got this girlfriend. This girlfriend had been talking to him before that while he was dealing with this shoulder injury before it got completely torn. He needed the surgery. She's late. Turns out she's pregnant. All this stuff is cascading down on him, and this stuff with the dad, he's just trying to push him. He's not trying to push him away. He's trying to push him to do better. He brings up the whole race thing about how, we have to work 10 times as hard. Black people, by the way. That's what I mean. I don't mean me as in we. But with this, stuff really starts to spiral out of control for the son. It gets bad. He is drinking. He's got, mixing Oxy with it, which is a great idea to mix alcohol and pain medication, and it leads to this point where him and his girlfriend were going to go to a clinic. She was going to have an abortion. There's these religious people, and, religious people, so naturally they throw out the N-word at him. And let me tell you right now, that's a word that really triggers me, as it triggers a lot of people. As a white person that used that when they were very much in their past. And regret it. I'm talking years ago, but anyway, that aside, I've addressed that in another video. They have an argument. That ends up with her getting out of the car and walking home, and then later, he's like, "Hey, we need to talk." This is days later, this kind of stuff, and we need to talk. Turns out she just breaks up with him. She decided to keep it. She feels that he isn't invested in it, and she decided to keep it, and then blocks him. Starts dating another guy. He thinks. It actually turns out to be a gay member of his wrestling team. Turns out that, this son is not aware of a lot of things around him and is paranoid because of all the Oxy and the alcohol and everything that he's drinking and taking. And boy, it gets bad to the point where, oh boy, he goes to a party that's for this prom thing. Sort of. And the girl dies because he punches her in a drunken rage thing and whatever, and her head hits the concrete. No, boy, everything just screeches to a goddamn halt. Except when the cops pursue and the cops catch him. The stepmother all this time had just been yelled at by her son because he's all drunk and everything. The dad is trying to keep this stuff together. And the son ends up going to jail. Life in prison, but because he pled guilty, because of Florida law, he's eligible for parole in 30 years. Okay, whatever. I don't know how laws work, but it is what it is. So then it shifts from him and it shifts to the daughter. And And the daughter, you can see, obviously, is seen on social media, stuff like praise for the woman, the girlfriend that died, or the ex-girlfriend that died, and slander in the family, especially the brother, her brother. And it goes into a story about her. It's like a 2-part movie, all around the family dynamic. She meets a guy who she's not very sure about. He's a white guy, he's a bit nerdy, a bit reserved, but he likes her. He doesn't care that she has a brother that passed away. Or not passed away, but, is in jail and killed somebody. He doesn't care about that. She's understandably a bit nervous about it. And one of my friends, actually my friend that was there, which makes sense because she doesn't know if somebody's going to attack her because her entire family's been fractured. The stepmother and the father are just at odds, mainly because the mother at one point says, "You remind me of him, and I can't look at you," and ouch. But to be fair, she is a stepmother. Even though she raised these kids, that's understandable. Everybody deals with grief differently. It's not an unhappy movie, but it's not a happy movie. It's a very good movie. And it really does have some great moments to it. Again, the music's absolutely phenomenal. It turns out that the daughter is able to come to grips with all this stuff, this new love, coming to grips with what her brother did and all that stuff. And I gotta say, this movie is absolutely phenomenal. So I'm not gonna get too much into the rest of it because you guys really should go see it. But yeah, if you're watching now, sorry, it said spoilers. It's in my favorite movies of the year list. It's top 5 easily. Fucking A, go see it. Not fucking A like that, but A, go see it. And
it's a movie to wave hello to, not goodbye.
You proud of that?
A little.
Okay, you should be. But anyway, I might put a poll up there, so please grade on that. And like, share, subscribe.
If he doesn't, Twitter. I'll put a poll up there.
Stop messing with my poll. I'm John Ritland, Derb Mission Control over there. See ya.